My name is Umaru Swarray. I'm coming from a family background of 6 children. I'm the third child. And at the age of 8 months old, my father abandoned me. And at the age of 7 years old, I was living with my mom in a village that is the southeast part of Sierra Leone called Momah. And we are in our village. The rebel attacked us during the 11 years rebel war we have in Sierra Leone. Attack us, and I was stabbed with bayonet on my right hand side, this part. In our village, wise the rebel attack us, then we have to move to the bush. My hand swell up, it's still swelling as you see. My hand swell up, and we were in the bush for almost 8 months. After that, my mother had to take me one government hospital in the south part of Sierra Leone called Pujehun Hospital. We were in the hospital for 4 years, 8 months old, 4 years, 8 months, whereas we are in the hospital. Initial operation was done on my hand, and also I was not discovered well in that hospital. They attacked the hospital also again. We went back into the bush for another 6 months. Then we find our way to the Freetown, the capital city of Sierra Leone. After that, when we came to Freetown, we saw the doctor, Dr. Mark. That is the name of the doctor. I did the initial operation. Then Dr. Mark said that he's not currently working, so he had to transfer us to another doctor in Connaught Hospital called Dr. Boema. Dr. Boema went to Dr. Boema. I was also admitted in Connaught Hospital for another 5 years. In that 4 years in Pujehun Hospital and 5 years in Connaught Hospital, which is the capital city, the biggest hospital in Sierra Leone, and also the capital city. In Connaught, we were in Connaught the operation was done on my hand. Several operations was done on my hand. The first operation also, because when we are in the bush, also the hand started to rot. If you don't mind, is it okay for me to remove my shirt so that you can see?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. And also when the initial operation was done in Pujehun Hospital, was not recovered there well, then we have to move again to Connaught Hospital. When we moved to Connaught Hospital, another operation was also done. They have to remove all of my flesh from my hand. This is the hand. This is my hand. They have to remove all of the flesh from this point up to this point. You know, there was nothing left to make sure that the bone comes back. They have to remove after this operation. After some time, they have to remove some flesh from my leg, and also start to paste it here so that my muscle can able to build up. The swelling the body can able to build up again from this point. Then we stay in that hospital for a very long time, also in Connaught Hospital. For some time, somehow, you know, the situation gets worse. Situation was really getting worse. And the doctor was thinking that because I was a small boy, around 13 years now to 15, then they think that the swelling in the vein should drain back. You know, by then I was in the hospital also. It was unable to complete. Like you see from here to here, this is the main vein. Our main vein that connects us to make sure that we move our fingers, it was not joined. So now blood is not circulating from my hand. You know, like this, not my hand, no. It's not like that as you see. Let me just remove something so I can see. You see, this is the human being that I am, you see. So blood cannot able to circulate. The blood are supposed to circulate from this normal hand so that when it go down, it can able to come back again. No. The moment I put my hands down like this, the blood come down. It cannot able to go up again. So my hand here now currently is small up to this point because there is no flesh there. It's only the scars that you see, you know. And also it has some amount of damage. Like this place I'm touching, I cannot able to feel here. So at the end of the day, the doctor have to tell my mother that, you know, they cannot able to continue with the operation anymore. So let them cut off my hand. So my mother say, okay. So my mother signed up to document to cut off the hand. Through the grace of God, I don't know what happened. They refused not to cut the hand because they think that if they have to amputate my hand, it's have to be up this part. If they remove this whole part, they don't know how they can able to manage it so that this one can be healed. And if they have to amputate this part also, they need flesh to cover up. So that was the medical difficult part of it, that, you know, we cannot able to amputate this man's hand. So at the end of the day, the doctor have to give me up that, you know, they cannot able to do it. So I was just staying off in Connaught Hospital, Ward 1. for almost 5 years waiting for my time off, because the doctor said that there is nothing they can do. All they think they can do now that, I cannot be able to survive the pain, and I just have to stay in the hospital until my time came up, and if I died, that is it. Then we are in Connaught Hospital also, the rebel attack Freetown, the capital city of Sierra Leone. When we are in Connaught also, the rebel attack the capital city of Freetown, we have to move to Mountain Court in the east part of Freetown. And staying my auntie there. At the end of the day, my mother had to drop me to my auntie, go back into the village to check the other children. During that process, situation was getting worse and worse. And my auntie had to call my mom. My auntie had to call my mom that they cannot table, so that let me not die in their house. Situation was getting worse. The area in the Freetown, so my mother had to take me back into one orphanage called John Bosco. So I was staying in John Bosco for half years, on my 6 to 7 months. When I was staying in an orphanage home, the boys that were staying in that home, use my condition as a perfect place for them so that they can able to go out to beg. So you have to refuse. I said, no, I'm not going there to beg. So they have to tie me up one day and remove my shoe for my feet, remove some clothes for me. They said, because maybe I have something else. That's why I think I'm not going there. I'm not going to the city. I'm not going down to the street to beg. So situation gets worse and worse and worse. My mother have to come. They have to take me to another aunt where I was staying. My aunt was having sympathy for me, and my situation became more worse. My problem became a family name. People don't never call me my name again. Discrimination starts. They say, where is John? John, the one that have the one swell hand and the short hand, the one that have the smaller part and the other part. Situation was really, really getting worse. And when I was staying off in Connaught Hospital, the nurses were the one that, take me throughout the primary school process. When I was out now to my aunt, I only went to primary school, primary 4 and 5. Then I start my NPS, that is the common entrance to go to the secondary school. By then I was not having a friend. Situation was worse. I was not having a friend because all of my friends in those days, we are not friends. They were only using my condition either in terms of provocation or other stuff. So it was worse. Then after the rebel, the ECOMOG, the Nigeria too came to Sierra Leone. They have to remove them out of Sierra Leone a little bit. I have to go back to the hospital. I was also admitted for another 1 year in Connaught Hospital. Another operation, a fresh operation was done because situation was worse also. Then when the operation was done, then doctor had to tell me something that, he say it is not now the sickness that now affecting you. He say it's now your mental condition. He say you have to make sure that you work on your mental condition and you make sure that you overcome this whole situation, you overcome it. He say because you cannot able again to fix whatever things has happened. Your friend will provoke you, and because they don't know your story and they don't know your condition that you are going through, it will become worse and worse. So you have to make sure that you accept the fact and work on it. So it was a sad and bitter message, but it was also a healing for me. That was the time I started to realize myself that, I have to accept myself in the first place. And for other people to have accept me in society, I have to make sure that I work on myself. I start to go to Prince of Wales School, SAT, the MPSC, education. Well, my mom was the only one that having 6 children to take care of. She's not working. She was doing petty trading. Whenever she left me in the city to back to the village, I have to make sure that I fetch water for people. When they cook, I have to eat. That's the time I do my survivor. When I go to school, I have to make sure that I study, I write neatly, and whenever people are around, that is the time I think. And whenever my friends are okay, that is the time I think I have to build a friendship so that at the end of the day, I should have lunch to eat at the end of the day. So I use my skill, my knowledge, I develop myself more in terms of drawing, writing poems. So my friend was having it and as a fun, but at the same time, I was having lunch out of it. So at the end of the day, go college, I get out. And I saw a man that's called Joabas. And it was also part of this transforming process. It introduced me to Les Brown, Jim Rohn, in Brian Tracy. So I started to read materials to empower myself. Reading these materials to empower myself, even though when I was struggling, when I have to clothes, because I have friends in orphanage, I have friends in the hospital, whenever I have something, when I was out of these places, I have to go back. Hey, I have two clothes. Why can't you have one? I have food. I can even take some time. If I have enough to eat in the home, I have to take that. I take some out there to give them so that we are all can be able to help each other. It developed in me when I was really still going to school up to this point. So I formed an organization called Forum for People with Disability. The reason why I formed Forum for People with Disability, I discovered that when I was staying in an orphanage and even in hospital, there's a lot of charitable organizations come around, but at the end of the day, they don't give us actually what we want. Sometimes there's things, all we want is money. All we want is toys to play with. All we want is food. But, there is always a bridge between we and them. They have this sympathy for us that, even though when they are giving us something, like my glasses, they don't allow our body to touch their own body. They give us in a distance. They say, yeah, look at the toys, So that gap was there. So we feel in our head, when I was in our orphanage home, we in the hospital also, we feel in our head that we are outcasts. We don't belong to the majority part of society. Even as I'm speaking right now, it's happening. The discrimination starts right in our society, in the hospital, in the orphanage. People think that they are helping us, but they are creating more problem in our mind, in our soul, that, more worse than the way they are meeting us in there. Because we are looking for the outside world to accept us for our condition, because it's not made by us. I was born normal. Now look at me. I cannot be able to remove my clothes in front of public. I can dress properly. Everybody can come around to hug me. But the moment I remove my clothes, if I'm walking on the left part of the street, other people will start to going the other way around, which is not good. Most of the time, it is not good. So even in the discrimination, like I'm now remove my clothes, if I go outside, many people will start to run away from me. Why? The discrimination is there. So I have to form my organization called Forum for People with Disability. Forum for People with Disability is non-profitable organization, non-governmental organization that we advocate and we serve as a mediator between donor and direct beneficiary. The reason being that we want to serve as a mediator between donor and then direct beneficiary is that it's the calling. Many people have orphanage home today. They write nice projects, fund them with this project. At the end of the day, only the very few, if they have 5 children in that home, they can only take care of those 5 children. Others have orphanage home, they are running their homes, but at the end of the day, the moment you donate anything to them, it filters down. It don't reach to the direct beneficiary. So we are not operating as an organization that only caters for specific people. That's why we use the word forum. We are operating with all other orphanages that we know and we believe that there are people in there that are our family. We call them our family because we are also part of them. We share our story, and these people understand that, oh yes, this person knows exactly what I'm going to. This person knows exactly what we are going to. We share the same story, similar story. So all of these things come together and we work with other different organizations. I can tell you that we have been working with some home that people tell us sad story, that even people that run in those homes, they don't know about the story. Why? Because they believe in us and they know that we are sharing the same story. We give people the opportunity to share and believe and make the right choice of their life. We still have space in the world, to make decisions about our own life, despite our disability condition, despite our current condition. But the world is giving us a deaf ears, especially the part we find ourselves in West Africa, Sierra Leone, it is not easy for most of us. So it was another human being that was bad in me to even accept myself, to the point I got married, I have children, this is how I tell my wife. So, deliberately now, I'm trying to show my pain and my current condition to my child, which is Quinty, just 2 years old. I remove my clothes sometimes. That it was wrong. It is hard for him to understand now. It is the most difficult part for me to see. What can I say, my son? That I was stabbed with bayonet during the rebel war? Yes, that is the fact of the story. But how my son can be able to consume those things, in his head? What mindset my son will grow up with in terms of the image of Sierra Leone? To me, the rebel wars was a perfect place for man to show hatred for his fellow men in Sierra Leone. And it's still happening silently. Now it's not by gun, it's not by rooting, it's not by killing, it's not by burning houses. It's now through the political realm in this part of the country, in this part of the world. My childhood life was okay. You know, at the age of 13, I do remember when my mother usually come to the city to buy business, to go back to the village to sell. My mom usually sent for me ball, you know, in that little corner. I was the king in the village because I have the ball to play with. You know, everything was perfect. Quietly, I was growing up like a decent young man, a promising child. Said, you know, most of the time I asked my mom how I was before. They say everybody was admire you. You were a smart boy in the village. You have a ball. So even your elders usually come to the house to take you out to go and play. Because whenever my mom comes to the free town to buy business, she always buy me ball. So everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. And my mom, one of the days, my mom told me that, you know, when I look at it before the whole incident, it's my heart was rest. I always look at it that, you know, you're gonna come and change the story of the family. But as time goes on, I look at you, I keep on crying within myself. I said, no more. It's not too late. Everything has a meaning in our lives. You know, life was perfect. Even though my father abandoned me before then, you know, but life was perfect. My mother was a fighter. She was a fighter. She fought for ourselves. You know, she fought for us from day one up to this point I'm speaking to. She's still a woman of hero in my life. You know, things was okay for us in the village. I was 12 years old at the age of when the Civil War. We have some 11 years Civil War in Sierra Leone. You know, I was something like 10, 11 years old. You know, so during that process, it was not, the war was not part in our part, in the part where we were in the village. You know, you have to do something like 2 to 3 years before they come over in our village. And the guys that was taking over villages, you know, we are a lot of these guys were elites. All they go there, they cut off, they amputate, they cut off people's hands. You know, you see them argue to themselves that, you know, that is a boy, that is a guy, that is a boy, that is a guy. Whenever they saw a pregnant woman passing, at the end of the day, they have to make sure they call the woman, plead her stomach and remove the child, to just to know who is the winner in those battles. So it was really, really crazy and bloody. Whenever they enter into a village, they kill, burn, and root. That is their accomplishment in all of those times. So when they attack our village, I was just like something like 12, 13 years old. Before they arrive in our villages, you know, more people were coming in, and if their hands, their feet were amputated, you know, because whenever they attack a far village, people have to relocate from those villages and look for another nearby villages. So they were coming in. By then, there was no school. Everybody was just quiet, you know, in the village. So my mom was with us. By then, she's in the village. You know, everything was quiet. As a little boy, I think everybody was thinking that they will not come to this village because the village I came from, it was really, really a remote village. So people were coming in amputated. People were coming in. They say they have roots, all of things. They are born their villages. So we were in our corner quietly, and situation was getting worse, worse. Sometimes they come by the fire, we hear the sound of the gun. You know, they go back. So that is it. They do that almost for a week, 1 or 2 weeks, you know, before they came directly, finally in our village. The guy's intention before the event was that, in fact, before they attack our village, the week they attack our village, you know, we start to see different men. We start to see different people coming as if, you know, they are also refugees, moving from another village to come around, not knowing that, you know, these were the rebels that coming into the village slowly, slowly. That's happened for 3 days continuously in the house. We start to see different people. And most of these people we are seeing are men. Until one night when around 12 o'clock, we just saw a gunshot in the village. Before my mother took us out of the place, there was fire all over the town because they surround the village. In those villages we have in Israel, it's not too much of village. It's not too much place. So before we realized, there was fire all over around the community, the village. You know, my mother cannot able to escape with me. You know, we have to run under the bed. I was under the bed when they were looking for people. You know, they look at there's a nerve, you know, that it's always at the point at the mouth of a gun called the bayonet. You know, when we were under the bed, you know, they were stabbing in, because it was those leaves that, you know, in our community where I'm coming from, they used to build mattress. So they have to punch those knife right under the the bed. They were eating the mattress very close, going down deep under the roof because it was dark in there. So at the end of the day, they have to stab me right here, here, and here. It was three. I was unable to shout because my mother was holding my mouth, not to shout. At the end of the day, after they have bombed some other houses, then they have to move to the nearby village because there was another village that was very close to us. They have to move there. There's nothing, and they say that there was tetanus in those knives, and so we have to move to the village. That's how the whole problem starts.
And you're
We after that happened, the moment they were burning houses because we in our village, in our setting, we have this bamboo building. It's leaves that they used to cover the house. So when they light 2, 3, 4 houses, because they were thinking that all other houses will burn, when they move out of the village, we hear them saying, let's go to the other village so that we don't move, we don't move, we don't move. When they move out, we have to find our way out of the village. This same night, we went into the bush. That was the time we moved out of we went into the bush. My mother, from that night, we sleep under a tree until in the morning hours. By then I was bleeding still. My hand was bleeding. And there's no medication, no doctor, nowhere we can find ourselves, And the place my mother took us in the deep forest. Even herself, she don't know what way to go. We are afraid to enter into any house, any village, because we think that maybe the moment we enter there, we can see more rebels around to kill, because they were only killing people. So we spent almost 6 months in bush, from one point to another. It was not easy for me, because my long stay in the bush caused now most of the swelling and the rotting because there was no medication. It was just like that. My mother used to warm water and start to place it there. So during that period, we went into one another village. We along the bush, we saw a place we call camp. Camp was another new settlement, not a village. It's a settlement where whenever people at village, the rebel attack village, people that escape to those attacks, they have to go into the middle of the forest. They build bamboo houses and they call it a camp. We are in that camp that, one woman saw us and said, you are very close to Pujehun now. If you only go through this bush, don't use the main road. You can able to reach Pujehun and go direct to the hospital with this son, with this boy before he died. So life in the village was really, really difficult for us. Life in the bush was really, really difficult for us. My mother, she's not a herbalist. She's not anything. She can only draw any kind of leaf that her hand got made and also warm my hand and place it. So by then, before we reached to Connaught Hospital, my whole hand was rotting up. While we are in the bush, in the camp, people start to drive off whenever they want to eat because I was smelling by then. The only person that was able to take care of me was my mom and my other siblings, my sisters that were living with us at that same point. So it was not easy. My mother had to go far off in order for us to make one bamboo house for us. We had to stay because of my condition. It was in the camp that somebody told us that we are very close in an hospital, government hospital, which they haven't yet attacked, that is called Pujehun. The journey was another daily journey also because there was water. But then it's some rainy season, my mother, there is no boat. My mother had to make sure that I carry us in the big bath, something like a bath. Then she was swimming and pushing us slowly, one after the other, because all of the children. I truly remember that my mother put me in that bath, pushed me while she was swimming to cross us over to the other point so that we can able to walk now to the hospital. It was something like a 4 miles journey in the bush. And we took 2 days to do that because I was not feeling well. And I was walking as a boy, how to make sure that at the end of the day, when we cross the river, then my mom said that then the person advised so that don't use the main road, just use this bush road. You meant to use this bush road. They showed the direction to my mom. You can arrive at Pujehun Hospital. So it take 2 days to cover up 4 miles journey by feet because I was the one that delayed there because I was walking. My mother was having my little sister on her back. At the end of the day, until we find our way to Pujehun Hospital. In Pujehun Hospital, everything was removed and there was no money. My mother was not having no money to pay the medical bill, every day hospital bill. So I had to employ my mom in the laundry department in the hospital. So my mom was using the laundry department to do the work in order to pay for the hospital bill and also pay for some medication. I remember when, as a little boy, the man came move us from the camp and say, this is the road. But when you go, there's a river there. You have to make sure that you cross. I don't know how you can able to cross with 4 children. Because me, I'm the last one. I'm the third one to the boys. My mom has 6 children. I'm the third to the boys. And also I called behind 3 other sisters. So my younger sister, she was at the back of my mom. And the 2, I was working with them. Then I was also working the same journey. I remember in the bath that my mom was carrying, that where all of our things were, my mom had to make sure that he let the thing off. He put us in those baths and start to swim with us across the river to put every one of us to the other side of the river, one after the other, until we crossed. And we took 2 days in that bush. It was also another deadly place for us because most of the places that we are staying, it was also another place that, rebel attacked the camp and they have killed people. I remember the last place we slept before we reached the town of Pujehun. It's like the rebel we had just attacked the village 2 or 3 hours ago. We saw dead people lying, blood flowing out of their body. It was not easy. So my mom said, let us go sleep here, but it was around 7 o'clock. And by then, every place was quiet. So we have to make sure that we do not sleep in the camp. We sleep by the camp, out of the camp, near the nearby village, the nearby bush that was staying there, we stay there. And that was the time, my mom looked at me and said that, it came to a point that, I have other children. It only because of it, I can able to sacrifice all of this. In case the rebels saw me and they think that they want to kill all of you. So I have to say to my mom as a boy, I say, Mama, just go and let me here. I know the situation is now getting worse. We cannot able to continue with this same journey again. Go and take care of my sister. I can able to go to the hospital alone. I say go there so that things can able to work out well for the other ones. My mom say, you are a very small boy. You cannot able to understand. Let's go. No matter what it takes. We have already come far. And that moment when my mom said that no matter what it takes, I will go with you. If you are going to die, let me see your body before I return my back. And that moment, I do remember that my mom my mom have to drop my little sister with a woman to carry me on her back so that we cannot able to sleep again in the road, so that we can able to reach the hospital. Yeah, I spent the rest of civil war in Sierra Leone during the 11 years Civil War in hospital, from one place to another, And just imagine, we went to go to the Pujehun hospital where we spent almost 4 years in that place. When the rebel attack also went back to the bush and we find our way back to Freetown. I spent another something like 5 years. And the rebel attack also the capital city of Sierra Leone, which is Freetown. That was the time then I moved back to the orphanage. That was the time I was back into the orphanage. And all of those things, I was not recover. Up to this point I'm talking to you, I'm not yet still recover. I'm still with the pain, struggle with the pain, but now it's much better now. Now I use 70% of my mind to just feel whatever things I'm going through. Like I have sorry already, because the doctor removed all of my vein, all of the vein that's supposed to supply the blood, circulate the blood around my hands. It's not there. If you look at my hand, this part, you see something like rough edges. This is they call it the skin vein. The skin vein that's supposed to move my hand, go up and count them. So the moment it's not there, blood is not circulating for me. Like this is not my hand. You see this vein? This is the same vein that you see here because it's not working. So it's dead now. So it's dead now. So I don't know. So my doctor is keep on telling me that, there's no vein that's coming in and out, but how can you be able to move your finger like this? Now I just tell him that it's just a miracle. Even him, he cannot able to explain to me to that extent, So since the rebel war in Sierra Leone now, I'm still under the pain, but I look at myself and say, yes, it's not now about me. It's where I'm coming from. So I have to turn my back again with gratitude in my heart and go back and solve. the same solution that are coming from to the lives of other people now. When the Civil War ended, I will speak up to the Reconciliation Commission. There was something they call Reconciliation Commission in Sierra Leone, where people go give up their grievances and have look at those people that hurt them and say, forgiveness. They took me there. I went there. I say, even though I came here now to share my story, the person that did this thing to me is not here. So it does not make sense. But even though it does not here, also I have also another responsibility. Let me just work on myself and just let go. Because of late I've discovered why. Whatever happened to me happened, that it was all part of the process, If like now what you are doing is a marvelous work, but there is more something that trigger your thoughts to do what you are doing. And those things happen maybe in your quiet time, maybe based on situation that you are facing, or maybe based on situation you have seen or experienced, Based on the lives are impacting my society around Sierra Leone, I was just thinking that if I was a normal human being, nothing happened to me, maybe I cannot be able to save other people's life. So I have to let go. I be my own motivator. I be my own encourager. So from that point on now, I just let go of everything because it has happened, that's happened. I have a different philosophy about looking back, I can only look back now to make a reference to whatever have happened to me. The reason being that they have done their part, and most of the time, even some of the documentaries I used to watch where they play in national television, people say that, I was under drugs. I was not on my own. Okay, I amputated somebody, I killed somebody, I did this, I was not on my own, but all of those things have to come back to the political realm of people, especially not only in Israel, all around Africa. People are becoming more violent, people are becoming more troublesome, people look them fellow men as if they are animals. Based on the political thing that goes around us all over, because the rebel war started with something. One person want to rule, the other person says, no, it's not your time. So it's okay, because since you do not give me space, let me go in the bush to create space. It all started like that. So I look back on my life, I say thank to God, I was only starved with wellness. Even though I went through hell up to this point, I'm still grateful. There are some people, the moment they see them, their hands were amputated. Now today, even though they want to use their two hands were amputated. Today, even though they want to go to the bathroom to use themselves, somebody else have to help them out. They cannot able to feed on themselves. I'm happy. I'm happy because yesterday I can able to use the hand. It was, I cannot able to expose my body out there. It was, but I'm grateful because the life is there. And also my story have been helping other people to overcome their own difficulties in life. I was just only starved, they go to the hospital, find medication. No, I saw the head part of it. There was some point in when I went to the hospital, operation was done on my leg to remove some of my flesh without no injection in order for me to just ease out the pain. So it was hell for me. I was tied down as if somebody that they are going to just execute for death. Everybody was holding me, removing it. Because they say they want the raw blood and the warmness to place it here. So many times when they do the operation, it was not 100% guaranteed that what they have removed, the flesh they have removed from my leg can able to stay there it can able to remain there. Some have to remove, some have to rot. So it was 50-50 chances. But the pain was 101 points because it was raw pain. And mind you, when they remove your leg, they have to cut from your legs. They call it skin fraction. They remove your skin from your leg. It's another saw, which you have to bear it away so that it can heal. Because they cannot able to stitches. It's open, they have to mend manually until it heal also. It was like that. Like I say, when I was in the hospital and even in the orphanage home, I was built up, I was encouraged by friends. And in the world of disability, even in the world, our deepest darkness, people can commit suicide because there is nobody to tap them from their back that we can able to overcome this journey. I read a book which said if you want to go fast in life but short, travel alone. But if you want to go far and wide in life, travel with your companion, When I was in the orphanage or even in the hospital, I have friends that, we keep encouraging ourselves. When sometimes the pain is there, the one person we move from his bed is saying, what? Bia. In Creole, we say bia, meaning that hold on, keep holding on, Osh, meaning that sorry, Those words may sound funny, it may sound simple, but it's also healing. It starts right from there. And I was a strong person, whenever somebody's crying or another going through pain, the doctor will take me from one word to another, say, you are crying because of this pain. Ask this man, this and this and this and this is what he's going through. And his pain is more worse than you. So why can't you encourage? So I was first introduced by doctors to start to talk to other people. And that built in me, build the confidence in me. Even when I go to orphanage, I was talking to my friends. I cannot go to the street to beg. No, I can't do it. I know that even though we are in an orphanage, 90% of everything we need maybe come from people that, that have sympathy for us and come and donate for us. But we cannot also go to the street and beg. So the moment I left the hospital, I left the orphanage home. When I felt water for you, give me food to eat, I'm full, I'm okay. The moment I have another one, I have to make sure I take it to the hospital or to the orphanage to give my friends. That's what building me for the past years. I've now been visiting orphanages, one orphanage to another. I speak to the children there, they tell me they're constrained, I come, I beg in the sense that, I can easily write to share my story with you. The moment you have sympathy for me, I get those things off and go direct and give them. So that's how my organization come about, which I call Forum for People with Disability. Forum for People with Disability is an organization, Forum for People with Disability is a non-profitable organization that serves as a mediator between donor and direct beneficiary. The organization was inspired by my personal story as a victim of doing the Civil War in Sierra Leone and also staying in an orphanage home and having the sympathy based on the condition and the situation. I've discovered that live in an orphanage home, and I have to come back again. I say nothing. Let me form a non-profitable organization. We serve as a mediator between donor and direct beneficiary. What I mean by that, I have discovered that most of the time people in orphanage home, especially in Africa or Sierra Leone Pacific, they can apply another work for funding. The moment the funding comes, the funding have to filter down. It does not mean the direct beneficiary. Most of the time, it does not mean direct beneficiary. I experienced it when I was in orphanage. The moment people comes around and give us donation, that is the time most of the time we go to bed hungry. That is the week we don't see much things around. So I have to serve as a mediator now between you as donor and direct beneficiary. So that's why we go to home, we ask people their question, their problem, and we implement exactly what they want. And we have been doing that successfully. We have been working with other partners. We share our individual story. Now we talk to people. Why? If you have a body, I've been doing that one majorly to sustain my organization, where people donate their body. If you have a body, I can talk to you that before you spend your body with other friends, why can't you not come and spend your body with people that that can be more appreciative in terms of anything so far around. So people have been using that one and helping us. I take people out to different homes, orphanage homes that's run by other people, and say that, okay, John, this is this I want to do, but let's go and do this and do this and do this. So it has been amazing. It has been amazing. And if you want, I can even show you some of the things that we have done so far. One of the things I discovered when I was staying in orphanage home was the mobility challenges. I can bet you 70% of people with disability that stay in Sierra Leone, especially in the rural area, are still crawling on the floor. Both Genesis or Crisis, right? Because they don't have crutches, they don't have wheelchair. They don't have better access to those opportunities. So we have to serve as a mediator for people to do that. Our mission is to make sure that every physically challenged, that is disabled person is treated with dignity and respect, by creating enable environment and opportunity for them to achieve their full potential. Discrimination is one of the major things around our society. I'm a testimony for that. I'm a living testimony for that. That is our mission. We want to make sure that there's a respect and dignity for person with disability across. Our mission is to make sure that we promote and uphold the rights of physically challenged, disabled children and vulnerable. So we work in those areas, and we have been working in those areas so massively. Just like example, the 2015 census report of Sierra Leone from Statistics Sierra Leone showed that 93,129 persons with disability have disability in Sierra Leone, and 70% of that population live in the rural area, having no better access like the 30% in the western area. We want to make sure that we build those gaps. We build the bridge for those gaps, the 30%, the opportunity that the 30% have in the western area supposed to also extend to the 70% that stay in the rural area, that is the upline side in Sierra Leone. We want to make sure we develop those things. That is the major things our organization is doing. And we have been implementing a lot of program and advocacy for our people. We call them our people because I'm also part of those dreams, so that they can be able to benefit from it, because people start to put a tag on us. It's also a sign of discrimination. It's also a sign of you telling us that we are not fully having the full potential to grow. That's why I hate the word disability. I don't like it much. One of the major advice I can ask, especially African, because I'm staying in Africa, I haven't yet traveled out of Africa, only in Sierra Leone, is that let them know that, the lives of every child in Africa, the life of every human being in Africa lies in the shoulder of the leaders. The leader cannot only be the minister, the president of a nation, but it also lies in the leaders of a community. In Africa, there's a lot of violence. When you turn the television on, you listen to radio, it's all coming from, all of those violence are coming from leadership, power, and all of those things, because it's coming from, you might start it from your pilot, you as an individual, but it can also roll down to community. If the community cannot able to handle it, it can roll down to the environment. If the environment cannot able to handle it, it go out into the nation. And before you think and wake up about it, become a war, which you yourself, you don't think that, these things are not lead to war. This is not on my plan, So one major thing is, we know that Africans, people love power, and they are hunting for power on a daily basis. But let them also wake up and think that, the next generation, if I say I want it all by force, the next generation, where it's supposed to be. And the next advice, I want to fight, I want to serve as an advocate for persons with disability. There's a lot of discrimination. We have stayed in our orphanage home. I have met disabled people that, stay in an orphanage home that have skill, that have learned skill, tailoring. They know a lot of skill, but guess what? If a disabled person have a shop here, and a normal human being have another shop here, you know that society cannot walk into that disabled shop to buy anything? Yes, it's happening right here in Sierra Leone. I believe that it's also happening in other parts of Sierra Leone. So even though no matter what we learn, we acquire in our school, in our society, the society have just drawn a line just because maybe we are in a wheelchair, somebody's using crutch, they think that there's nothing come out of him. So I want to make sure that we learn these things, I should have been in the street begging. I should have been in our small community, neglected, abandoned, but I accept the fact and I keep on fighting for it. That's what I say, life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want to automatically overtake. That quote has been keeping me rolling on a daily basis. I keep on fighting for what I want. And what I want is make sure that to have the right to speak my mind, to have the right to, so that my children can be in an environment where they think that, they are not be threatened because they don't belong to a particular political party. They cannot be threatened because they don't agree with a specific issue around, we all have our individual opinion in Africa, around the world. Everybody have these things now in his or her mind. We have to make sure that we create an environment where there's a dialogue. Even though I might not agree to what you are saying, but listening to my own point, from the point I'm coming from, why I'm not agree, at the end of the day, we embrace each other. And I believe that's one can be able to heal the world. The world is at sick. The world is sick. And the world is not looking for a pill, medicine to swallow. It's all looking for the heart, a human heart. Now I should be here now crying that I want people to help me. I want people to help me. I want people to help me. So go and do another operation for my hand to come down. But no, I'm not looking for that. Because there's a lot of people out there Maybe my story can heal them, and they need to see the evidence. Maybe my intervention, now I can sit here crying to donor out there, to help my organization, to help other people. Yes, maybe that's why this pain is still there. And the world needs people like that. The world needs, in every society, in every part of the world you are, the world needs somebody like that to make sure that to help and heal all of us from those pain. The world needs friendship. The world needs connection. We think that we are more social connected. No. We are more disconnected from each other than anything. And because we are disconnected from each other, we think that because our phone is charged, I have data, I have internet, I can able to communicate with 1,000 people. No. Your friendship lies only in the in your battery bar at the top of your phone. The world need to make sure that you abandon, well, not abandon, but lay down the technology aside a little bit and start to argue each other, That is it. A lot of people, I have a lot of friends follow me. But guess what? All of those friends cannot be able to share a dinner table with me. They can't. Why? Because they think that I'm not worthy to share a table with them. And it also happened around the world. If it continues this way up for 10 years to come, the world will be more dangerous than anything. That's why I found out that, people are hungry. People are annoyed with each other because we think we are connected, but we are not connected. We are more disconnected.